How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to another edition of the Stupid Questions podcast. Today, we're going to be talking with Lauren Brandon. She's a professional triathlete out of the Utah area near Park City. She has a long career in swimming from like ages 5 to, I don't even know, like probably early 20s. Then she got into triathlon, did some ITU racing, now does long course. I'm sure you've heard of her. But yeah, she is an amazing guest. We get to talk a lot about just the joy and contentment of life that she has, finding joy in the process, and then we end on talking about how to find contentment. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Lauren Brandon. Well, good deal. Well, officially, thank you so much for coming on. I'm looking forward to diving in and getting to know you a little bit. But it's been kind of cool because you are coached by Julie Dibbons, so
Yes.
I've been, I guess, interviewing a number of her athletes, past and present. So it's been kind of
Yeah.
interesting to get those perspectives
Yes.
and then have all you guys on. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, and you even got Julie to come on, which which is huge. She does not do main podcasts.
Yeah. I bugged her incessantly, probably for several weeks, and then she finally broke and was like, "Okay, your persistence will have to pay off." And
Yes.
she
She's like,
probably
oh,
wanted me to just
fine.
quit bugging her. Yeah,
Yeah.
but she did
And
really great.
yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I'm apologizing for my infected eye in advance. It's like, I was like, I wonder if I can kind of cover it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's puffy and huge, so yeah, is what it is. Sorry,
What
guys.
happened, if you don't mind me asking? And it's not. No
I don't
problem.
even know. Like they said, it's not a pink eye, but it just, probably I was out riding and something got in it and then just
Mm,
like got blocked. And every day I keep waking up, it's just like
a
getting
little bigger.
more puffy. So I'm like, oh shoot. Oh
Oh my
well.
gosh. Did they give you like
It's,
some kind of
it's,
a steroid or something or
so
cream?
they gave me some like antibiotic drops, that I just started. So hopefully they help. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, today I didn't swim yesterday. We'll see how a goggle feels on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
Good deal. So, the question I would love to start with you is, who is Lauren? And because the reason I want to ask it from you specifically is you're a bit more popular, more people know who you are and what you do in the sport. But I would love to hear the who is Lauren from your perspective, inside and outside of triathlon, even.
Oh, yeah. I would think like if you asked most people kind of who I am a pretty happy, joyful person. I mean, obviously not all the time, but most
Sure.
of the time I can always find something good in, every situation. And I'm definitely someone who puts relationships first.
Mm.
So yeah, like I always feel triathlon's like way down, not way down on the list, but,
Yeah.
my husband, family, friends, all of that and my relationships definitely come first and is what is most important to me. And I feel like if those are good, then everything else I can deal with in life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, good answer. So with the family and relationships and like those things kind of taking precedent, I know for me, I'm not a professional. I train quite a bit,
Yeah.
but
You're
there are
trying to be,
days
right?
trying to be. It's so
Yeah.
interesting. A couple of years ago, I was like, I think I'm going to do this thing and really
Yeah.
go for it. And everyone has different levels of talent and work that's involved. I would say I'm not super talented, so it's taken a
Okay.
lot of work, and I thought it would come a little bit easier because I've kind of hit
Okay.
this plateau point. So it's still a dream, but even honestly, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to my wife and I was like, honey, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this thing. Like I'm trying, but it's just like I keep hitting a wall in these specific areas, and my wife's really great. It's because for me, whenever I first think of something, I'm all in 100,000%.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, go, 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 go. And then takes a little while to buy in. And then when I'm ready to like step away or maybe question it and doubt it a little bit, she has more belief than I do. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
amazing though. That's what
yeah,
you need, right?
it really is what I need. She's
Yeah.
everything that I am not in need. So yeah,
Oh.
it's super, super special.
Yeah.
Um, but what was I saying? I was saying something about, oh yeah, for the family.
Hmm.
I know for me with training, there's times when I kind of get some cues and I'm like, you know what, maybe I should just forget about this session. We can plan another day or not even do it and kind of go with my family and do that.
Hmm.
How often does that happen to you, or do you have a good way of like moving stuff around?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my husband is quite busy. He's the CFO of Ventum Bikes.
Oh, I
So
didn't know
he
that.
is
Okay.
quite busy, with work. And then he also likes to train and race gravel. So So I have a lot of the day to kind of do my thing. I mean, he leaves quite early in the morning and comes back quite late. So yeah, so I kind of have all day to do my thing. And then on the weekends, we sometimes get to ride together now that it's nicer weather, but he's also super strong. So, but yeah, so sometimes we'll kind of ride together and get to spend time with each other then. But we also, like, seeing our friends is super important to us. So I would say we're always at someone's house for dinner once or twice a week. Yeah, just having dinner, having drinks, hanging out. And so sometimes if, yeah, maybe something's a little bit earlier, I'll just get up super early and try and get it done. Or if somebody's in town, I try and balance that. But I think I race quite a few Ironmans every year. So I'd say like 3 to 4. And the week after, I always try and either go somewhere or have somebody come see me just so that, yeah, I can get some good quality time in with some family and friends. So yeah, I try and do that. I always find it's a good way to spend time with people. And yeah, we're always traveling for holidays and stuff too. So I think as I've been in the sport for a long time, and I think now as I get older, you realize you're not going to get these years back with family and friends. And so I'm a lot more, I guess, okay with maybe switching training around. And yeah, if somebody's, I don't know, like we had a wedding in Ibiza, Spain, like 3 weeks ago. So it was a full week, and that was only 2 weeks before my Ironman. And people are like, I can't believe you're here. I'm like, it's important to us to be here, and you can train anywhere, and who cares? So you have a little bit less training, but you're having fun, and that's probably more important, right? So
Yeah, exactly. You'll remember all of the memories that you made around those events rather than, the missed training session.
yes, exactly, 100%. And I always think it's better to be a little underdone for races than overdone. So
Yeah, that's a new mentality and mindset I've recently tried to adopt, because I think before I was like, oh, go, over. And then I had this interview with Mark Allen, and he was like, I took off 3 months a year totally. And I was like, wow, I'm not doing this right. Yeah. Well, he would still be active, but yeah, it was crazy. Right. Yeah. So joy, you mentioned joy, and we're talking about the relationship aspects of things as well. And these obviously seem to be big pieces of value of who you are. So I guess we'll go in one direction first with the joy. Does that come from like an internal source? Is this something that was more of like nature or nurture within you as you were growing up? Maybe you pull it more from a certain family member or experiences. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess I've never really thought about why I am too much the way I am, but I think I'm just like content, like I can be in most situations and just be happy. I'm pretty adaptable. Like, I had never even been to Utah, before we just literally packed up our car and moved here. Like I hadn't even seen it. And I was like, oh, okay, it's what it is. And yeah, we're very happy here. And I think, again, like having somebody that, you love and enjoy being with. Like my husband and I have been together for over 20 years. And so I think if I have him by my side, I can easily be happy anywhere and doing anything. But no, my family, I don't know, we're all really pretty close. And I think my mom was always just a pretty like happy person and, easygoing, and always definitely put people first as well, like above herself. And so I don't know, everyone just, I guess, like can live a pretty simple life in my family and be happy with it. So
yeah. What was it like growing up in your house? Like, what did your mom and dad do, and how many siblings did you have?
Yeah, so like I said, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and my parents got divorced when I was like, I don't know, 4 or something, right kind of after we had moved there. And so, my dad still lived pretty close by, and I'd see him, usually on the weekends or whatever. And then my mom remarried a couple years later. And I have an older brother who, 2.5 years older, and we've always been super close. I think just, you go through a lot kind of as kids and even growing up. And so I always really looked up to him. And, I got into swimming because of him, which, I'm sure we'll touch base, but that ended up being a huge part of my life. And, Yeah, so my mom, after we grew up, my mom ended up being a swim coach after we started
Mm.
swimming, and it was a great way for us to spend time together, right? Like in the afternoons, we were at the pool, and the weekends, swim meets. My stepdad was a teacher, and my dad he was like a stockbroker for a while, and then did some sales. Um, but yeah, growing up in the Bay Area, I enjoyed it. I feel like um, there's just so many different things going on there. It's so
Yeah.
diverse, which is amazing. Because after that, I went to school in Nebraska, which, yeah, not so much,
Yeah, it's much different.
yeah, much different. And then, yeah, lived in Texas, lived in Utah. So yeah, I'm super thankful for growing up in the Bay Area and just being kind of exposed to everything. And, yeah, I mean, it was a good childhood. Yeah, swimming basically took over most of my
Yeah,
life. Um, and yeah, so I guess sports was always a pretty big focus for me and obviously continues to be.
sure.
But yeah, and staying with, I guess it was just school, swimming, friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a sister. I have two sisters
hmm
actually,
Okay.
but the one closest to me is just under 4 years younger than me, and
Okay.
I'd say she looked up to me a lot, probably more than she should have. And I could always get her to do anything that I was afraid to do, but talk it up like, yeah, no, you totally got it. So as a
Oh,
result,
wow.
she became very fearless. But I'm wondering, was your brother similar in that way? Did he ever get you to
Oh,
do crazy things?
no, no. And I am not fearless whatsoever. I
Yeah,
am petrified of everything.
really?
I do not like taking risks at all. Yeah. But my brother, yeah, he was just, I don't know, always, yeah, he did a lot of different sports and, for a while, like school wasn't really his thing, but, he came back around and now he's a firefighter.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and, he's married with three little girls,
Mm,
which I never thought would happen. The fact that he has three kids and here I am still no kids. I don't
yeah,
think we would have, yeah, thought that. Um, yeah, and just always been really close. I mean, of course we fought, but
sure.
it was never like these bad, I would say they're more playful fights, right?
Mm,
Never stayed mad at each other very long. And I think we were more just kind of always in it together, which, yeah, it was
yeah.
nice.
I think that's really special and something to give credit, I guess, to your mom, even your dad, like to have siblings that are that way. Maybe it's because you were a little bit closer in age, but man, me and my
Yeah.
sisters, we fought like it took until our early 20s when we realized, oh, we're all we've got, and now we're super close, all of our
Right,
siblings, and
right.
even with parents. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but that's amazing that, you're close now. And,
Yeah.
yeah, my husband's the oldest of four. So,
Oh,
and the youngest one is 10 years younger. So,
wow.
they obviously weren't super close growing up because there was such a big age difference. I mean,
Yeah.
my husband went off to college when his brother was 10, but now, yeah, it's cute. They're close. And, I think his siblings fought too growing up, but now, yeah, they're all super close too, which, yeah, I guess we're both very fortunate that, yeah, we see family a lot and or as much as we can living far away.
Yeah, and Utah.
Um, yeah, we're pretty lucky.
So let's go back to then I guess the first time you jumped in the pool. I was reading it was pretty young. I want to say it was like 5 or something. Is that
hmm
right? Yeah. So tell me about the like your first interaction with swimming.
Yeah, so actually, the first time I remember when I think I was 4 and I remember being at our apartment pool. I was like hanging on to the side of the pool and I
Mm.
didn't have my floaties on and I remember
Uh-oh.
letting go and just starting to drown because I didn't know how to swim. And then I'm like underwater and, some old lady, it's in the shallow end, some old
Yeah.
lady just walks and like picks me up. So that was actually my first memory of swimming. Not a great one. I obviously learned how to swim
Yeah.
after that. But yeah, my brother, I guess he had a cousin in San Mateo who was swimming. And so my brother's like, yeah, I want to try swimming. And he got into it and I would go to some practices and just be watching and decided I wanted to do it too. So yeah, I was 5. I started on the summer league and started the year-round team right after. And, I would say I got pretty good pretty quickly. By the time I was 10, I was doing like 2-a-day practices,
Wow.
training with the older kids. Yeah, it was, it ends up you end up being burnt out. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, by like how soon?
In my, like high school, I was definitely burnt out, but when you're also really good at something, I knew it was probably a way that I was going to get to college. And, I did fine academically, but I wasn't going to be getting a scholarship for my academics. So,
Sure.
yeah, so I kept going, and, fortunately I did. Even though I didn't enjoy it, like I still, again, found joy in going to some practice. Like I had tons of good friends, and, so you just kind of get through the workouts, and, yeah, I ended up getting a full scholarship to University of Nebraska, and that's where I met my husband. So, yeah.
So I'm curious with the motivation, because when you first start, there's interest. Like you said, you saw your brother and he was doing it, and then at some point your mom became a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So how did those motivations change from the moment when you first started swimming, like I guess all the way to the end of your career, which we can go into that. I guess that would have been like in 2008.
Yeah.
But walk me through that, because I'm sure that there's a lot of different mindset shifts. You're figuring out yourself physically in a lot different of a way, being kinder to yourself, maybe being harder on yourself. I'd love to hear like the mental track of that.
My swim career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, by the time I was 10, I think, yeah, I was like ranked second in the country. And,
Oh, wow.
in my head, I was going to make the Olympic team and be one of the youngest people to make the Olympics. Yeah. Hello, young kid confidence. Wish I could
It's a
get some
beautiful
of that.
thing.
It really is. Yeah. Some of that could come back. And yeah, but then I don't know. I don't know if it's, again, like I was already training a lot, and, yeah, you start to go through puberty and grow and change. And so I had like a solid couple of years, like 11 and 12, where I didn't improve a single time. And I remember, as a 10-year-old, when you have these high like hopes and dreams of what you're going to do, and then every, week leads to me to not improving, that was super tough. And I think that really took a toll on that self-confidence. And then I really had to like slowly build that back up. Like I remember when I think I was when I was 15 or 16, I remember a coach coming up to me and being like, "Oh, hey, like, where have you been?" And I'm like, "I'm right here. I was not swimming fast. And so you probably didn't really see me, but, I think that helps you it helps you appreciate like the process, and knowing that things take time, and yeah, like you're not just going to become fast overnight. And so I really had to like build upon things and keep working at it. And so finally coming out as a teenager, when I finally made junior nationals, probably a bit later than I would have hoped or expected, but I finally got back there, and started doing well. And yeah, luckily, got my full scholarship to college, which was great. I hate to say that Nebraska was my first choice. But, it's one of those things. You're like, I can go to school debt free and not worry about it. And the team was amazing. And the coach, Pablo Morales, is still there. Like, I still keep in touch with him. He's this amazing guy and coach. And, so yes, I went, and it was a huge shock for me. Like, obviously going to Lincoln, Nebraska from the San Francisco Bay Area, such a small town. But it's better than doing it. And, again, like right away, you have these 25 girls who become your best friends. And there was a nice way, like, to get through college and have that team. And, fortunately, I think because I had so many kind of tough years, middle school, high school, I was still getting better and getting faster. And so I ended up having a great college career and improved throughout my all 4, actually I was there 5 years technically, because I stayed there for an extra year to train for Olympic trials. But improved and did really well and had fun. And and then ended 2008 with trials. So yeah, can't complain.
Yeah. So when you were doing the trials, like, that's a huge thing. I've interviewed a couple other Olympic swimmers, and then some of
Yeah.
them, made it the first time. Some of them did
Yeah.
not, and some never
Yeah.
do. So, like, whenever you found out, I mean, were you, I guess, at the moment of when you have the race, and then you finish, and you're just like super bummed, or were you focused? Like, is there a reason why you think you didn't qualify? And like, how did you, or maybe it didn't like mess you up, but were you having to rebuild after that to kind of figure out who you were going to be?
Yeah, so I think I knew there was no way I was going to make the Olympics in
Yeah.
the pool, at least. Yeah, the U.S. team is just so fast, and I knew that was never going to, just never going to happen. But for me, so 2004, I missed Olympic trials just like by a little bit. So finally,
Seeing that
like
through.
seeing it through in 2008 qualifying and getting to go, and it was in Omaha, Nebraska, so it was amazing for it to be kind of like a hometown race, and I had my age group coach like from growing up there. I had my college coach there, and all of my family came out. It was just it was such a great way to like end my career. Now I did end up doing some open water swimming then, because 2008 they had just introduced the like open water to the Olympics, the 5K and 10K, and so I was doing that, and I thought that I had a shot actually to make the team in that, but like I just had such a bad shoulder problem that I'd been dealing with, like the amount of yards you have to swim to compete in the 10K was massive. Like I remember doing a 12,000 workout.
Oh my word.
Yeah, it's not great on the body. So, so I didn't make it, but it was a great way just to end it. And to be honest, like, I mean, it was such a long swim career. Like I was fine being done.
You're ready to be done.
I was done, moved on.
Yeah.
And then took like a year out of the water before I decided I was going to do triathlons.
Yeah.
Here I am, still having to swim.
Yeah, exactly. So, that year in between, like, what were you doing? I mean, I guess you were already graduated. At some point, you went back to college to go and get your master's. So is that when that happened?
Yeah. So again, I was so fortunate. I ended up getting a scholarship to go to grad school from Nebraska. So they picked like one male, one female athlete who had done well academically and athletically, and they gave you a check to go to grad school. And so it was never really in the plan to go to grad school. But yeah, of course I took that opportunity. So it was a certain amount of money, and so I knew it would go furthest if I went back home and did like in-state tuition. So my husband boyfriend at the time was down in Texas, and we had been doing distance for a while because he's a few years older than me. So he had already graduated. He had already gone to grad school too. So I moved back home, went to San Francisco State, was working. And that was, I think it was just a couple of years or a year and a half. And then, we did distance during that time, but then got married after, and I moved to Texas.
Yeah. And so during this time, he was already a professional triathlete, right? And you, I think it was something like 7 years or 6 years, maybe a little bit more, and you saw him racing, and you had never kind of even tried the triathlon thing. So what gave you the kick to kind of get it started and go?
Yeah, like growing up, I mean, you hear people say like they watched Ironman, in Kona, and I didn't know much about triathlon, to be honest. Like, I mean, I think I knew what it was, but didn't really know anybody that did it. And so when I met him, we met my freshman year, and he had just become a professional triathlete, like whatever that meant. And I was like, what do you do? But he was doing like the ITU Olympic distance stuff. And so that was kind of the world of triathlon that I knew. Like I didn't really know much about the Ironman racing and long course. So he did ITU for a really long time, and I knew that at some point I would want to try a triathlon, because I remember the first one I watched was the one at Alcatraz, and I was just amazed that all of these people were like swam from the boat, in the ocean or in the bay. And swam to shore, and then like went on this super hilly bike course, like through San Francisco, and then we're running. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, these people are amazing. Like, everybody that was out there, it was just so much fun to go and watch and cheer them on. And yeah, I knew that it was definitely something I wanted to try when I was done with my swim career. And, but I like literally didn't know how to ride a bike.
Oh wow.
I mean, I could, maybe pedal like around campus a little bit, but yeah, nothing much. And like running, I was always so like my coach would always make us try and run at the beginning of the year, like summer's running. And I would always be so injured after the first one that I wouldn't
Oh my goodness.
run. So it took me a long time to like kind of figure things out. And but yeah, the first one I did was 2009 in Pacific Grove. So like kind of down near Monterey, California.
Yeah.
And yeah, the water is absolutely freezing, like, low 50s, and you're like swimming through kelp.
Oh
I
my.
remember getting yelled at when I got on the bike because I was, like on the wrong side and people are trying to pass me. And I couldn't grab my water bottle because I couldn't take my hand off my
Oh
handlebars.
wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, it was, yeah, but I had so much fun. I was like, this is amazing. So yeah, that was 2009 and I was, getting done with my master's. And so when I moved to Texas after we got married in 2010, I was like, okay, my husband was still racing, doing ITU. He's like, you can go to the Olympics. They're like such a great swimmer. Let's get you on a bike, get you to run.
That confidence.
And yeah, exactly. Thank God he has the confidence in me. So yeah, I started training a little bit. I mean, I was working and stuff too, but, trying to get like my pro card and, finally qualified at the end of the year. Just doing like a sprint triathlon, but it had a bunch of prize money. So you know how it is. You have to
Yeah.
be like within a certain percent or I don't know.
Yeah,
So
there's
I ended
several
up
different
getting
ways.
it. Yeah. So 2011, I was like, all right, let's start this pro career. And I did, like a Continental Cups and ITU race in Claremont, Florida as my first pro race. I mean, like Floridati, Gwen, Sarah Hoskins, like all these people were
All
there.
the big ones.
I could not like do a flying mount or, do anything. So I just remember I get on the bike kind of near the front and then all of these girls just like keep passing me and I was like petrified to ride with them. And yeah, I was
Oh
the
my.
slowest runner and I was like, okay, like this is, this is going to be interesting. I have a long ways to go. And,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think maybe my confidence, my husband's confidence I was going to do ITU definitely changed. And very fortunate that at the time, I don't know if you remember, you're a little younger, but they had the non-draft, like a non-draft Olympic series, like Lifetime and Hy-Vee.
I've heard
And
of it,
so,
yeah.
okay, so they had just like this series and they had Olympic non-draft races all the time. So I think I raced, like 15, 20 times a year, just
Wow.
around the country. And there were never huge fields. So it's like you could go and usually make some type of paycheck. And, again, still working, but just doing club swim coaching. So my husband and I both coached a race and it was fun. We just, I got a lot of experience being able to race all the time and the non-draft was a lot better for me because I didn't have to worry about being in a pack. And so I do some IT races, but obviously it was not for me and I was never going to run fast enough either to go to the Olympics. So yeah, so things just kind of changed and, but I loved it. I loved the sport. I loved being out there with all these people and finally kind of started long distance 2015, did my first full in 2016 and still going.
Yeah. What are you looking for in terms of, I mean, because you seem like, you mentioned earlier contentment, like you feel like you're a very content person. So I don't want to mistake this question for assuming like, oh, you're looking for something in particular, but is there something like a point in time or a certain feeling or a certain achievement that you're looking for before you're like, oh, maybe I would be done? Or are you just
Yeah.
going to do it in forever?
No, I would say I've almost retired many times.
Really?
Yeah, like the past few years, I've definitely, let's see, how do it's when you train so hard and then you're having races that, are just not what you're capable of. And it's really hard, and I feel like these last few years it's been, I have maybe one good race, one maybe other okay race, and then it's like a bunch of surprisingly bad races, and um, it's tough. So I think if it wasn't for, again, my husband,
Yeah.
last our very encouraging spouses, yeah, I think I would have moved on because it's hard, and but also it's like in my head, I know I'm still capable of more. And so like, I still don't think I've put together my best race. And so I think that's what keeps me going. And,
Yeah.
you know, I love, like, you get me at a race site and I mean, I absolutely love it. Like, again, like the community in triathlon is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing, and being on the race course, I love it. And, even if I'm having a crappy day, it's like here you are doing an Ironman and then you're just running with a bunch of other people and, everyone's cheering you on. And, so yeah, I can still, like, I still love racing. And, fortunately, like, I had a good race finally, I feel like, a couple weeks ago in Australia, which is great. And, so I think that kind of has given me my mojo back a little
Yeah.
bit. And yeah, we'll just kind of see where things go. I mean, I'm 39, and you definitely see men and women continuing to
Oh
improve,
yeah.
but, I've had a great career, and, um, I could also step away and move on, but, yeah, if I can keep having good races, then I think that,
Yeah.
that will help me stay in it. So, yeah, so I think we'll just kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like in the beginning of the swim career versus the end of the career, you were really ready. Like you were, I'm done. Obviously, you don't
Mhm.
have that same spirit about triathlon. And I'm wondering I'm wondering how you kind of deal with the identity piece of all of this, because you are a swimmer and now you're a triathlete. You're obviously much more than that, but how do you view yourself and from like now and then moving on into the future? Do you feel like it's going to be hard to make transitions? Are you afraid to move on? Like,
Yeah, I think honestly, like, I've like really came close to retirement a couple of times. So I think I've already kind of been through that transition a little bit,
yeah,
and like thinking about the future and, okay, like, what is it that I might do? And, again, like, I feel like I've had a really long time in the sport. And so I don't know, for me, I can say this, I don't know what happened, but I think I'll be okay moving on. And, cause yeah, I think triathlon, it's just always been, even though obviously it's a big part of my life, I don't really, that's not the only thing that I am. And, yeah, like, it is just a part of my life. And so I think I could move on and do something else and be okay with it. And, yeah, like swimming, I really just moved on. It was okay.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean, I can say that, and well, might be a little bit more difficult, but I don't know. But I've been in it for such a long time that,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, as I travel the world and meet a lot of amazing people, and so I don't know. I think, yeah, it's just, again, it's a part of your life, and yeah, then you can kind of move on to the next, whatever that might be.
yeah. And you have like such a wealth of experiences, a wealth of travel in terms of just the cultures you've seen, the things you got to experience. And you're still in your 30s, so you still have a lifetime and a half
Barely.
maybe to live. You-
I don't know, Seth. We're almost 40, but
Around
that's
30,
okay.
it goes by so fast. It's crazy. I remember turning
It
21 the
does.
other day, and now I'm already going on
Right?
32. So
Yeah,
it's
the
wild stuff.
30s, I don't know where the 30s went. It was like, yeah, that
Yeah,
passes by quickly.
I know. We're 6 months through the year. I was like, this is gonna be a long year, and then boom, yeah,
I
we're
know.
moving, and yeah, it's absolutely nuts. But
Oh, yeah,
where
yeah.
do you where do you wanna what do you wanna look back on? I guess 10 years from now, because you've got like these really clean almost sections of your life. What kind of experiences do you want to be under your belt, and do you want to be doing like? And then by the time you're 49 or 59, you think?
Oh, God. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. Like, I think, Yeah, my husband and I definitely go back and forth about starting a family.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, we're still, yeah, I figured you would probably. Yeah, obviously 39, don't have a ton of years left to be doing that. But yeah, we still go back and forth. I mean, we have a lot of fun together. We love our lives. And, you add another little human in that, and I think it really changes the dynamic.
Yeah.
But we've also been together for so long that I don't
It's
think
such a
it would,
different thing.
yeah, it wouldn't it would change things, but I also think, yeah, we've had such a great relationship that we would do to get through it. But
Yeah.
I think I have a lot of friends right now with little ones, and so you just see them with toddlers, and yes, some handle it better than others, and so it is tough, right? And there's something to be said about having kids when you're younger versus older. Like we're so more set in our ways now, and I mean, I don't feel like I'm a selfish person, but obviously in a big sense, I mean, I can do whatever I want all day, every day, right? And so, yeah, unlike I think growing up, I always thought I'd get married and right away have kids. And so having kids at 25, you're like, yeah, you really haven't had that time for yourself. So I think maybe the
Yeah.
transition, I think it's hard in different ways, but maybe that transition's a little bit easier than when you're 40. So yeah, we'll see. Still thinking about that one.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that obviously we might be well into having a kid at that point. And also, yeah, having another career of some sort. Don't know quite what I would be doing, but yeah, I have my master's in early childhood special education, which I love working with families and have kids with special needs. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be doing that or not. So
Yeah. We'll have to check back and see. Yeah, it's really interesting with what you were saying about having kids young versus having kids older. So my mom and dad had me, I think my mom and dad got married when they were like 18 and 20 or 18,
wow.
19. And then my
Yeah.
mom had me when she was 21.
Okay.
So I remember
That's
my
young.
mom turning 30 and like it was
Right.
yesterday, and it's
Right.
just so there. Now, obviously, I don't have kids yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's super interesting how kids, their characteristics kind of reflect the age or I guess the place in life that their parents were in, good and bad, because I can pinpoint a number of different things with my parents being a little bit more, I guess, unstable in marriage and life, like brought a lot of resilience to me, and the kind of just the type of personality I had, and the way I did things, becoming very independent at a very young age and that kind of stuff. But then like I'm thinking now, if I have kids in my 30s and like me and my wife are relatively established,
Right.
what will that look like? I have no idea. Like it's actually a little scary because usually everything that we would be as parents, we get kind of from our parents, but they're such a different age. It's like, what do I do? Who knows?
I know. Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. And I love talking to people. I think people are a lot more open and honest about having kids and what that looks like than they used to be. And so I so appreciate, yeah, my friends and people that I meet just being honest about what it's like having kids. And, I mean, it's not easy, and, yeah, I mean, it's a big decision.
Yeah. Do you think that you would want your children, because you and your husband, obviously, you followed the athletic pursuits and academic as well, but that's been a huge part of your life. So do you think that you would want your children to adopt these similar life desires and experiences?
Yeah, we always joke he'd probably have a kid that like hated sports,
Yeah,
which would be
it could
fine,
happen.
I think as long as they enjoy something, then that's great. Yeah, luckily my husband is extremely intelligent and could help them with all the academic things, so that's good. But I think, yeah, it would. I don't know if you know many like swimmers who are, or grew up with many swimmers, but man, to drive my kid to practice in the morning. I mean, obviously my family did it, and
It's a thing.
it is a big commitment. So I don't know. I don't know if we want to be swim parents or not. If they love it, great. I don't think we would push it. Obviously
Autonomous
we,
cars are going to drive them to swim practice here before
I mean,
long.
that would be great. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we could, we live in the mountains, so just stick them on an animal and like
There you
tell
go.
them have to. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, like as long as they love something and we're involved in many things. I think for me, one thing, so I really just swam. Like that was my only sport. Like I did a little bit of synchronized swimming and
Oh, well.
a little bit of basketball. I was very bad at it, but all my friends were doing it and that was it. So like I really just swam and I think I would definitely make sure my kid did multiple things. Yeah, just be involved in different things because obviously, yeah, I know what it's like to be burnt out by the time you're a young teenager and yeah, that's not fun. I think you want your kids to enjoy all the things, all throughout high school. So
Yeah.
yeah, so hopefully just do many things.
Yeah, for sure. Good answers. So I want to go a little bit deeper on Lauren's worldview.
My
Now
worldview.
yeah, your worldview. So
Oh
let's
God.
go. We're gonna dive into philosophy a little bit here.
Oh
So
dear.
how do you see the world? I guess maybe that's too broad of a
To
question, but I
life.
want to kind of start there. Like, how do you see the world?
That's a interesting one. How do I see the world? Oh my God. I don't know. Um, I guess as someone that loves to travel.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love to travel. I've been to multiple countries in Asia, been to Africa, been obviously to Europe a bunch, Australia, New Zealand, everything. Um, I think for me, like, have probably a very optimistic view of the world.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm somewhat, so I don't really look at the news much. Sorry,
hmm
people, but yeah, I kind of
No
more
reason to be
live.
sorry there.
Yeah, I kind of more like live in my little positive bubble of the world, and so I look at yeah, like it's just I love how you can get on a flight and go to a place that is completely different than what you live in, and like immerse yourself in that culture and um, yeah, like I just find it amazing, like how everybody lives and seeing different cultures. And like my husband he did a gravel race in Kenya and they
Oh
were going
wow.
through like these super small little villages. And I'm sure these kids have like never seen people on bikes and they're like, what are people doing? Like how cool is that? Like just, yeah,
hmm
it's fascinating, like just to learn about different cultures and yeah, and I love going to experience it. That's
One of
probably
the
not where you were going, but that's where I'm taking
It's all
it.
right. We're gonna. I know how to wrap it back around to get it where I want it to go.
I
So
just
I
pushed it away.
well, no, we're gonna get uncomfortable a little bit, but so I'll share a little bit of experience because your
Mhm.
husband's experience reminded me of it in Kenya.
Yeah.
So man, when was this? This would have been in 2015. I had the
Okay.
opportunity to lead this small trip over to Papua, Indonesia. So there's two parts of this
Okay.
island down there
Yeah.
near somewhat Australia, Papua,
Yeah.
Indonesia on the north, and then New Guinea on the south.
Yep.
And there are over 500 languages and thousands of dialects on this
Oh my
smaller island.
gosh.
And there are untouched, like uncontacted people groups where you can fly over in bush plane and like they've never seen a plane before. If they have, they're like they have no idea what that is. So you can only
Hmm.
imagine how that affects their everyday life. But we
Yes.
got to go there and we flew 2 hours inland into this airstrip that's literally on the top of this mountain ridge. That's like the airstrip is going upwards, so you have to come down like this and then land on it and then throttle up to pull yourself to the top of the runway.
That's amazing.
Absolutely wild. And then you
Yeah.
get out and we were hiking and stuff to help build a little
Okay.
school
Okay.
in the middle of this place. And like you know I come from a pretty like religious, spiritual upbringing
Hmm.
within the Adventist church. It's like a Christian denomination. So, I go there with my set of goggles. And then I get
Right.
there, and there's this lady while we're building this school. who again, that half of them don't even wear clothes. The further
Yeah.
inland you go, it's like it's not really a thing.
Right.
So she comes down, and she has this little leather bound book, and all the kids run away from her, and she is like opening her book and like yelling things at our building, our school building that we're building. And I asked one of the local guys who was from the lowlands, who like knew how to speak English a little bit in Indonesian, and this language they spoke up in the mountains. I think it's called Visayan or something. Anyway, he said that she was like this witch, that she was trying to cast some kind of spells on our building, and the kids were afraid of her because apparently she had eaten her kids. So like, yeah, like cannibalism is a huge thing. So like when you get there,
you're like, "Whew, okay,
yeah,
don't
like
leave me
this
alone
is,
with her."
yeah, like this is such a huge thing, and there's just to think about that. Like there's so many different ways of thinking and living and believing.
Yeah.
So the reason I tell that story is like to ask you, like, do you have a spiritual side? Do you think about religion? Do you think about like what are the beliefs that if someone challenged you, like what would you say I do and do not subscribe to?
I'm definitely someone that more probably doesn't talk about religion much. Yeah, like my family, I think my dad grew up going to Catholic church. My mom and stepdad both grew up going to, Methodist Christian church. My grandma's pretty religious. My husband comes from, pretty religious family. Like my father-in-law was a pastor, and he grew up going to Christian school. But I would say for me, like, we went to church growing up a little bit, but then swimming, you swim on the weekends. And it was just like, we stopped going to church. And, not that I don't have beliefs, but it definitely isn't something that I would say like guides me daily. Ben also is someone that, can appreciate everybody and whatever their beliefs are. So, I think for me, like God, I hope my grandma doesn't listen to this. I don't care if you're like, I won't tell her about it. Like I don't care if you're Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, atheist, whatever, but like if you're a good person, then that's what matters. So, and that's kind of how I live my life.
Yeah. Do you think that good comes from somewhere or something? Or is it just its own thing?
Yeah, I think you can just make choices every day, and decide the kind of person that you want to be, and how you treat. Yeah, you can decide how you treat other people. So I think it's more of a personal decision that you can make but also change and grow upon too. Like, I don't think I think in middle school, I feel like I was kind of a mean kid maybe for a little while there, but I think that more comes from like, when you have lower self-esteem, you
hurt people.
Yeah, you hurt people, right? So, I certainly have grown out of that one and try and be nice to everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that's what you're gonna get from me.
That's pretty good. Does it when I ask these questions, does it make you feel like nervous or sweaty?
No, I mean, I
get nervous. So.
Yeah. When you're interviewing people, I listen to your podcast. I mean, I haven't listened to all of them. You've come out with a lot, but I definitely listen to quite a few. And sometimes you ask a question, and I'm like, ooh.
What's one of those questions so I can ask you?
Oh God, I'm trying to think. I feel like when you interview Julie, because I know how much she does not like to talk about herself.
And very British, yes, I love it.
You asked her something, and I was like, "Oh God, she did amazing." Nothing's coming off the top of my head, but I appreciate it because, usually it's just like, "Oh, how's your race?" How's your race schedule? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very on the surface, which is fine. But I don't like talking about myself in general. So I was sweating probably 30 minutes before this call even started. So it doesn't, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, it's super good, and I really appreciate doing it.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of joy and value to me because um, I've been in some pretty crazy situations growing up, and
Yeah.
I've seen some of my friends go through some absolutely wild stuff that I thought I would
Yeah.
never experience and that they would never have to experience. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always interesting to me, like once we go through that, like how it turns kind of all of the I don't know. It's like it turns the lights on in a room, and then you realize, oh man, there's a lot of things here that I had never truly considered before. And
Yeah.
I think with athletes and CEOs and some of the other kind of people, musicians, people that I like interviewing, it comes from a genuine place of curiosity because, especially athletes, there's a drive, an inner drive that has to be present and a discipline to get there. And everyone gets that different level of discipline in a different way. And some people
Mm-hmm.
draw on it like from anger. Like some people like that fuels them. Other
Yeah.
people it's contentment. And other people
Mm-hmm.
it's just the process. And there's a lot of buzzwords and so everyone says like, oh,
Yeah.
it's all about the process, which I think
Yeah.
is true to a degree. But
I mean,
it's
most of it is more of a process. You have to
yeah,
enjoy that.
yeah. But
Yeah,
it's
keep going.
taught me so much about my own self, actually hearing from all
Mm-hmm.
of these different perspectives and getting to share that with people is a pretty fun thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We should just start talking about you then.
Okay. Well I have got like 8 minutes. You have a question you want to ask me?
Oh God.
Lauren is now the interviewer.
Oh yeah, I'm never on this side. Ooh. I feel like it's so much harder than people think. Yeah.
It's not easy, yeah. It's fun.
No, I would be someone, if I was to interview someone, I would probably have done so much research and then, written down like a bazillion questions to see where the chat went. Yeah, how did you get started in triathlon? Because obviously I know that
yeah.
you race and, you race Chattanooga and try and get your pro card and all these things. So let's talk about you.
Great question. So I first came in contact with triathlon when I was doing gymnastics in college.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I did.
Didn't know that
It's like
about
an
you.
acrobatic team. So I did some tumbling. I did what was called blocks. So I would basically be on these pedestals with these two wooden blocks, and then I would stack these other blocks and do like a press to handstand, and then break them and land on my hands. And so I specialized in like that stuff. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I saw some of my friends like miss. Yeah, so I try to find an old video to send you.
I have to see. Yes, please. This is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So I did that, and there was a triathlon that we were volunteering as a team to like go and help that was involved with the school. And I saw these guys coming back on these bikes that look like superheroes, and I was like, what is this thing? This is crazy.
Why are these weird people?
Who are these with these? And back then, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but like 10 years ago, everyone had like those super teardrop helmets that look like
ridiculous.
Like, just craziness. So I was like, oh, I got to try this. And my buddy, who he's actually moving to Boulder here recently. He was, when I wanted to do the race the next year, he had a film project and he filmed like my whole lead up and did a little documentary style thing. And that was like one of the hardest things. And granted, it was only a sprint, but I thought I would be so much faster.
Don't say just, People can't say that.
And man, it destroyed me. And I was like, oh, I want to get better at this. So then the next one, I met my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, and she had mentioned interest in this triathlon, and she didn't have a bike, and I was like, oh no, we got to do it. Let's sign up right now.
Yeah.
So I found her a bike from one of my girlfriends to help her, let her borrow, and we started training together. And oh, Lauren, it was crazy because we started training at like 6 a.m. in the South in September, and it was like dark outside,
1,000 degrees.
Yeah. But it was in the dark, and cars are like, you got to get off the road, you're going to get hit. And I was like, whatever, we're fine. With no lights, just completely crazy. So that's how it came into my life. And then, one of my cousins invited me to race with him. And I thought I was going to train. So I trained, and I thought I trained enough. I was like, oh, I got this in the bag. And one of them did a 70.3 like 2 weeks before and just absolutely demolished me. So that really set it in my heart. I was like, okay, I'm going to beat them next time for real. Yeah. So I got really into it at that point.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So competitive.
Yeah. I've been too competitive for my own good.
Are you Are you the type of person that's competitive in all aspects of life? Like if you're doing a board game or something and
Yeah, I think so. I've definitely toned down the past 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Competition is a different thing. Like it's, I don't know. My relationship with competition has changed and morphed over the years, but
Yeah.
I would say in general, yeah, I'm a pretty competitive person.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm not good at something, then I become the exact opposite. I'm just like, oh, I don't care. It
Right.
doesn't
Yes.
matter. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But also that's always fun. Like I'm doing a gravel race this weekend
Oh, sweet.
and I am terrible at like technical biking and going downhill and doing all these things. But I find it so much more fun to like go to these gravel races that I know that I'm not going to be great at or
Yeah.
great at some aspects of it. And so I can just like go and have fun and do my
Yeah.
thing, not be stressed about it. And it's like, okay, if I'm last, I don't care, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do find it is nice to sometimes do things that you're not good at because
Yeah.
you can just not care about it.
Yeah. I wish, because I've been thinking, like, how do I adopt that mentality in the things that I am good at? Because I've noticed
Mm.
in all of the different areas of things of competition I've done growing up, I'll start it, I'll like excel really quickly,
Hmm.
and then when the acceleration when that slows down, then it's like confidence drops, and
Yeah.
then it just can be a really defeating cycle. So have
Yeah.
you had that
True.
ish? Like, have you had that kind of some
Yeah. I
bad?
mean,
Yeah.
I think a time, right? Like I feel like I've barely gotten faster over these last years, and I think it can be, yeah, it can be really tough. But I think you have to find, believing that you can still get faster, and that like the hope of still doing something great is there. And then also, I think like my husband before my last race, he's like, Lauren, you love to travel. You're in Australia. He's like, it's going to be a great trip no matter what. He's like, just have fun and enjoy it. Right. And so,
Yeah.
and especially after like Texas, I mean, I basically DNF'd, like barely finished that race. And so, yeah, it's just like changing your mindset. Like, you know what? Like things can go wrong, especially in an Ironman. It's like, you never
Yeah.
know how it's going to go. And so just being okay with that. Like, what's the worst that happens? You walk, you drop out. I mean, okay. Like, you're still in
Yeah.
Australia. You're
Life
still
goes on.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Life goes on. Like, triathlon is such a small part of our life. And so, I think when you can, yeah, just change your mindset and be like, you know what? I can still find joy in doing this, even if it goes poorly. And okay, shift your focus and start like cheering for other people or, you
Hmm.
know, yeah, still just, I don't know, enjoying it, I guess, somehow.
Yeah.
Excuse
Yeah.
me. Do you-
It's super interesting. So I heard this quote recently that it was in relationship context, and it was that unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments.
Oh, I'm gonna have to think
So
about that
so like in a
one.
marriage,
The tree.
for example, I'll pick on my wife a little bit. There's things in
Hmm.
earlier in our marriage that she had expectations wise,
Yeah.
that weren't spoken. It was like kind of a stereotypical, she's thinking something and feeling something, she
Yeah.
wants me to ask about it and know what to ask, and I'm like over here
What?
like big question mark in my
No,
head, and
men
then she
aren't
would
just over
yeah,
here by
exactly,
themselves.
exactly,
You
so we're
gotta
like,
tell them.
duh, what's happening?
Yeah.
And so that turns into a little bit of resentment. But what I've realized
Wrong
also in my
person.
personal life with the
Mhm.
expectation of, let's just say, triathlon or work or
Yeah.
whatever, I will oftentimes have these unspoken expectations in
Hmm.
my head. And
Yeah.
then after I've learned actually to speak them out loud and then really commit to them or let them go, I feel a
Yes.
lot better about myself. So I thought that was a
Yeah. I like that
super wise
one.
quote. Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's not
Okay.
mine. So I can't take it
But I
credit
like
for
it.
it. But yeah.
I haven't heard it, so I like it.
Thank you. You have to check out the Modern Wisdom podcast if you've never heard
Okay.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Chris
I listen.
Williamson.
I drive quite a bit for training because we're
Okay.
so far away from things. So I listen
Yeah.
to a lot of podcasts, all triathlon podcasts that I can venture out.
Yeah. Yeah, check it out. He's he's
So,
he's got a lot of really interesting guests. But
yeah,
so
cool.
I have one more question for you.
Mm.
And it is an advice question for as a listener. And you seem to
Oh,
have some good experience with it. So,
oh dear.
and we've hinted on some things. But
Okay.
if somebody is looking for contentment in their life, and I think contentment leads to joy, where and how do they find that contentment?
Oh my God. Oh, um, Yeah, that's a good one, Seth. Hmm. I don't know. I don't even know where to go with that. I think we always, I think even like growing up, you think you have an expectation of what your life is going to look like, and um, you're gonna do this, do that, and have all these things, and um, but I think like for me, as I've gotten older, I realized that you shouldn't need much to be happy. Like again, like I had an amazing partner in my life, and if we live, yeah, in some like really crappy little place, like I'd be okay with that because we still have each other, and so yeah, I think not that you have to find a partner in life. Like I think you can be happy single too.
Sure.
Um, but I think just like I think enjoying what you do, like yes, sometimes we have to have a job that perhaps we're doing it just to make money, just to put food on the table. But I think if you can, yeah, find something that you love and that you're passionate about, and then it's never going to really seem like a job. Like I would say triathlon, I've like never called that my job because I've never really viewed it as a job. Like,
Mm.
I've always, when I've had some tough times, like I still really enjoy it. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
feel like
good.
I need to think about that one.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
good
think about
question.
it some more, and if you want to send me a
Yeah, I'll get
video
back
of
to
it,
you.
then we'll post it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll cut this out and then I'll give you another one.
No, I think that's good. What you said, like it
Um,
comes around to I think finding your passion, and people are going to ask, "Oh, how do I find my passion?" But one of the wisest men who I ever knew, I sat down at lunch with him, and I asked him
mhm,
like, I was like, I told him actually what my biggest desire was. I thought I wanted some male figure who I looked up to
mhm,
tell me exactly what to go do and what kind of business to start, and I would just
mm,
execute with the max. And
yes.
I didn't think that that was that unhealthy, to be honest. But then I realized through some therapy that it actually
Mhm.
is. And he told me, he's like, you'll know what you're good at. You'll know what the
Yeah.
things are. And as we get older, like I think giving ourselves time to grow and adapt and to learn what we're good at, like it takes till 30s, even sometimes 40s, to like truly start to get a grasp on life enough to know what you're good at. So I think that that's good, and you'll find that passion.
It does. Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I think more like our parents' generation, they still pretty much got a job and stayed in that job for their whole life, and now you're seeing that doesn't have to be it at all, like
Yeah.
you can have completely different career paths. Like I've even
Hmm.
thought about going back to school again, and I'm 40, but that's still like
39.
that's not old. Like yes, um, you could still have like multiple huge career paths or career changes, and yeah, like you might start somewhere again just because that's what you have to do at the time, but it doesn't mean that you can't, yeah, continue to learn about yourself and grow and change and
Yeah.
yeah, fine. Yeah, again,
Yeah.
find what you're passionate about. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're still young.
That's right. We are. I plan to be. I got my butt handed to me at one of this last races by a 49-year-old. So I plan to do
uh,
well into my 60s.
it is. I always find it amazing. I mean, there's really strong older women, but the men, I feel like even like to the mid 50s, right? Even late 50s, like these men are so strong. Oh my God, what
Yeah,
do
like
you do? Like even like riding, yeah, like I'm pretty sure you're in your 60s and holy cow, you are so strong.
yeah, it's
It's
wild.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lots to look forward to. Well,
exactly. Plenty of time.
yeah. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming
thank
on and letting me dive and prod and telling me your entire career journey. I'm sure there's some stuff we missed out, so it's probably on me, but I really appreciate
you.
you coming on and
No, thanks so
sharing so
much.
freely.
It wasn't that bad as long as my grandma doesn't listen.
No, it's fine. I'm sure she'd love you
I'm a
just the
good
same.
Christian grandma, I promise.
We'll check back in a few years once you have kids. Maybe things will change. You never know what can happen.
Exactly. Oh, I loved going to church growing up with the family. It
Yeah,
was nice. Yeah.
it is. It's a cultural thing for sure. But
It is. It is. Well, thanks, Seth. I appreciate it. And yeah, good luck at your next race, whenever that might be.
thank you. Thank you so much to Lauren for coming on the podcast and sharing so much about her life and allowing me to dive deep and prod on some of those harder philosophical religious questions. Those are always fun for me. Just really appreciate her coming on and wanted to leave you with a few final words. When asking her about how to find contentment, she was saying that basically, got to find your passion. And then I said, if you want to find your passion, just give it some patience. It'll show itself. If you made it to this point in the podcast, just want to say thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here and watching and listening wherever you are listening and watching, whether that's on YouTube or Twitter or whatever is out there. If you could like, comment, subscribe, review, do anything you can to help us grow, that really does help us to grow and get the word out there about the podcast. So thank you so much for that. If you also want to sign up for our newsletter, you can do that at the stupidquestions.show website. There's a link at the top right of the website that says newsletter sign up, and you can drop your email there. All right. I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Peace.